Hello, everybody. My name is Todd, and welcome to the CINCILINGUA membership program. It's a pleasure to have you with me here on the program. And for those of you who don't know, I think probably most of you do know, but for those who may not know, CINCILINGUA is a language institute, and we are located in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is located in the Midwestern region of the United States of America. And again, it's a pleasure to have you with me here for our lesson video. And this lesson video, we are going to continue with our series focusing on what we call idiomatic expressions, or simply idioms. And so here we go. We are going to move on down here to our first slide and to our first idiom, or first idiomatic expression. This is to goof off. To goof off. Okay, now this is an example of what we call a phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs basically are verbs that are followed by at least one preposition, sometimes two prepositions, but usually one preposition. But phrasal verbs are idioms, okay? And we have a lot of phrasal verbs in English, and this is a good example of one, to goof, and then it's followed by the preposition off, to goof off. And it means to waste time, basically playing when you should be working. To waste time playing or doing something that is not work when you should be working. You're goofing off. Okay, and so we're going to move down here and look at an example sentence here. You should not be playing games on your phone. Quit goofing off and get back to work. You should not be playing games on your phone. Quit goofing off and get back to work. Stop goofing off, stop playing, and return to work is the idea here. Stop playing those games. And this verb goof, well, it's not the most common verb, but you will see it, for example, in these kind of expressions. But it's a regular verb. So the base form is goof. The simple past form has that ed on the end of it, as all of our regular verbs do have that ed on the end in the simple past form. And it's goofed, and then our past participle is the same, pronounced the same also. So it's goof, goofed, goofed. And again, this is a regular verb. Okay. And now we'll go to another idiom here, and that is dry run. Dry run. Okay. And this, a dry run is like it's a rehearsal or a practice of some kind. So if you're planning to have some kind of a performance, well, you want to rehearse that performance before you do the performance in front of an audience. So you have a dry run, for example. And we're going to look at a sentence here as an example. Before performing surgery, the medical team held a dry run to be sure that each person knew his or her responsibilities. Before performing surgery, the medical team held a dry run to be sure that each person knew his or her responsibilities. Yeah, I wonder about this medical team. It seems like they should know that without having to do a dry run immediately before the surgery. But we get the point here, okay, right? So it's you make sure. So you do like a practice, you rehearse, you just make sure that everything is correct, because you don't want to you don't want to take a risk of a mistake in the real event, of course. Okay. Okay, so that's dry run. And now we have to sit down. Very common. This is another example of a phrasal verb. We have the verb sit, and then it's followed by that preposition down. And it means to be seated. So to sit down is the action of being seated. Okay, to be seated is to sit down. Okay, it's that action. And here, as always, we have an example sentence, and it says, "Don't lie that way. Please sit down properly so that you don't spill your drink on the couch." Yeah, so you can see in this picture, this person is not sitting down. And that's why we're saying don't lie that way. She is lying. She's in a lying position. Please sit down properly so that you don't spill your drink on the couch. This idiom or this phrasal verb uses an irregular verb, and that is sit. Sit is the base form of the verb. Sat is our simple past form of the verb, and sat is also our past participle form of the verb. So it's sit, sat, sat, sit, sat, sat, irregular verb. All right, now we have this two equivalent idioms here. They mean the same thing. There's synonyms. So far, or to date. Okay, and both of these mean to this point in time. To this point in time until now. Okay, now we're not talking about the future. We're talking about from some time in the past to this point in time. Okay, that's the idea. And an example sentence is, our vacation has been great so far. Our vacation has been great so far. So it's from the beginning until now. Okay, it started great. It has continued to be great to this point in time. So far, our vacation has been great. To date, our vacation has been great. Okay. Here we have another example. And it says, this is all of the information we have been able to gather to date. This is all of the information we have been able to gather to date. Okay, to this point in time. Perhaps we will gather more information in the future, but to date, to this point in time, this is all we have. There's one of my favorite expressions that I use a lot is this expression that we have in English. It's so far, so good. So far, so good. And that expression means to this point in time, everything is okay. So if somebody asks you, hey, how are you doing? Or how is your day going? Well, so far, so good. So I'm not saying anything about the future, but I'm saying from the beginning of the day until this point in time, everything's okay. Everything's good. So far, so good. And one of my favorite expressions. So, all right, that's a little extra at no extra cost either. All right, so okay, so we've looked at in this lesson video, we have looked at four idioms, actually five, because two of them are synonyms, the two that we just looked at. But we began with to goof off. To goof off means that you're playing when you should be working. Okay, you're doing something that you shouldn't be when you should be working. So stop goofing off and get back to work is the idea. A dry run refers to a rehearsal of some kind or some kind of a practice before performing an actual real event in maybe in real time or in front of a live audience. Perhaps you have a dry run. And then we talked about to sit down is the act of being seated in a sitting position. To sit down, to put yourself, the action of putting yourself into a seated position. And then so far and to date, and these are two synonymous idioms, and they mean until now, to this point in time. Okay, from the beginning to this point in time. And I said, so far, so good is a common expression that we use, one of my favorites. So feel free to use that. All right. So, yeah, so we're going to wrap up this lesson video. Before doing so, I want to wish you a wonderful remainder of your day. Again, I want to thank you for your attendance here, and also want to thank you for your attention. So it's great to have you all here as members of our platform, of our program, and I'll certainly be looking forward to seeing you again, as we will be continuing this series on idiomatic expressions, and of course we will have many other lesson video series as well, and looking forward to working with you in those as well. So, signing off from Cincinnati, Ohio, and wishing you a great remainder of your day. Thank you again. Bye-bye.